What was way cool at Augmented World Expo? Awe. What's the latest on Apple Vision Pro meets real estate photographers? Do you enjoy hearing what's cool in spatial computing? Stay tuned. Hi all, I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. Today is Thursday, June 26, 2024. You're watching WGAN-TV live at 5, a podcast for digital twin creators shaping the future of real estate today. We have an awesome show for you. 10 takeaways for real estate photographers from AWE USA 2024 and its Apple Vision Pro workshop. Our subject matter expert is Emily Olman, CEO and Chief Media Officer of Hopscotch Interactive. Emily, thanks for being back on the show.
Thank you, Dan. It's so nice to be here. And I love being able to join you to talk about AWE, which is an amazing conference that has just celebrated its 15th year. And we moved the show from Santa Clara, California, where it has been, all the way down to Long Beach. So it was wonderful to be there. For those of you who don't know me, I am the Chief Media Officer for Hopscotch Interactive, a real estate media consultancy and agency here in the Bay Area. And Dan, we've been chatting about all things real estate photography, Matterport, and spatial computing now for quite some time. So it's just nice to be back on the show. Thank you.
Yes, Emily, let's not short shift you on your company, Hopscotch Interactive. Before we jump into AWE, tell us more about Hopscotch Interactive.
All right, Dan. So I started this company in 2015, and I was so enamored with the Matterport Pro, the Pro 1, the very first Matterport system. And I saw that it really was the beginning of this era of 3D virtual tours and reality capture. And so I started doing virtual tours here in the Bay Area, and now we are in our 9th year. We work for luxury residential and commercial real estate clients, predominantly in the office market in San Francisco. Our big product that we are pushing in 2024 is more of a all-encompassing commercial real estate marketing services offering. So media services, drone scanning, digital twin services, as well as marketing coordination, which is a big shift because we spent a lot of time in the first few years really focused on the residential market, and we're shifting now into more commercial real estate, which is great. I love it. And I'm meeting a lot of wonderful people. And I've been running that agency now this whole time. And the other thing that I do, in addition to running Hopscotch Interactive, which excels in architectural photography and virtual tours, is that I spend a lot of time on the cutting edge of media, specifically for real estate, trying to be that translator and evangelist for the early adoption of virtual and augmented reality, as well as mixed reality, and many call it the metaverse still, but it's also been called spatial computing now by Apple. So I'm a very good resource for people who want to learn more about it, and I'm really trying to push various industries, into learning more and adopting the technology, because there's already so much available now that can help people in their daily work.
Awesome. AWE, awesome. And your website, hopscotchinteractive.com. And just one last thing. I noticed looking at your website, you're doing a lot of speaking engagements. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, Dan, thank you for bringing that up. So exactly. So because I have, I've gotten so much knowledge over the years, and also as sort of a creative evolution of what I'm doing, I have been giving keynote talks that has been in the form of speaking at the PMRE conference, photography and media for real estate, and giving a keynote speech on the metaverse there. I just spoke at the Urban Land Institute in Los Angeles, specifically on virtual reality for commercial real estate. And so I do put a lot of effort into creating talks and sharing my knowledge with people. I have a column with AR Insider. In fact, I just published a piece today about the Meta Ray-Bans, or the Ray-Ban Metas, these smart glasses, which we can talk about in a little bit. So I publish pretty frequently on these topics and do give talks, and also on my YouTube channel, and also with you, Dan, spend a lot of time trying to educate people about what is out there. It's just one of my passions.
I know we were going to talk about AWE and your takeaways, but you showed us your Ray-Ban Meta Wayfarers. Let's talk about that first.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And for anybody who wants another deep dive on this, I highly recommend going to AR Insider, arinsider.com. I just wrote I don't know how many words, but a pretty long takeaway about the Ray-Ban Metas, and pretty much like saying that they stole the show for me at AWE. So we're talking about the Ray-Ban Metas, but we're also talking about AWE because these glasses, Dan, were sort of the big one for me. And these are the Skylers. So the Wayfarers did come out last year in their version 2, right? So in the Wayfarer glasses, sunglasses by smart glasses by Ray-Ban and Meta, there had been another predecessor, a pair of smart glasses that was the Ray-Ban Meta Stories, which came out in 2021. Now, we both know that 2021 wasn't exactly the best time for influencers and people to be walking around and being very social with a pair of glasses that can be used for vlogging and social media posting. And also the glasses before didn't have an AI assistant embedded in the operating system of the glasses. So
I'm confused. I thought the Wayfarer was the current version.
Yeah, and the Skylers just came out. So these ones are the Skylers. They're sort of like they're more geared towards women and sort of fashioned after 1960s sort of jet set lifestyle, Pan Am design. So
Emily, someone's just tuning in. They're just
okay.
looking at sunglasses.
Oh,
What's special about them?
what's special about them? Okay, so I'll tell you the few things that are special about them. So what I'm going to do is, just to give you an idea, is I'll turn them on, right? So I'm going to turn them on right here. There's a little switch where we turn the glasses on. What's special about them, first of all, for me, is that they're the first device that has really been designed for women, or for most likely for women or females to be wearing. And so you power up the device here on and then once you do that, you actually able to toggle that to your phone. And I hear a chime as I put them on, spatial audio. There's 2 speakers here and here. And I have an AI assistant. I also have the ability to take a photo. So I'll take a photo of you. There we go. And you can see that. Did you see the indicator light?
Yes, it lit up. So I knew that you were taking my picture.
Awesome. Now, the other thing is that, Dan, guess where I'm hearing you now?
You're hearing me through your Ray-Bans.
I'm hearing you through my Ray-Bans. Exactly. And so what's cool about these is that, for example, when I first got them, I was walking through the airport and I was going to my gate. I was listening to Spotify, because these can play Spotify, they can play your music, they can play your podcast. And nobody really knew that I was listening to my music. I basically had my own soundtrack. And it just sort of gave me, just like earbuds would, or headphones, it gave me a little bit of a veil from the crowd, like a sonic veil, as I was walking through the airport. Now, what I loved about that was that it also didn't sort of take me out of any major announcements. Like, my ears are still open. I can still hear if there's an announcement from the loudspeakers. And so this is the first device, that I feel like is really designed for women and with women in mind. It just came out in May. And it's only $299. So these sunglasses are $299. I wear sunglasses all the time. As you could tell when I started the call with you, I had just come in from outside, and I wear my sunglasses up like this all the time.
So Emily, pause there for a moment, because what's happened now that you've turned them on, the sound has changed. So let's turn them off for the moment, and I think that will release the sound from your phone.
Yeah, no problem.
Perfect. So, but let's stay back on the glasses, because do you hear, can you talk to ChatGPT 4.0?
Yes. Yeah, you can talk to, I don't think it's ChatGPT. I think it's Meta AI Assistant.
Oh, excuse me, right. Totally two different companies. Yeah. So let's see. So Meta, Facebook, that would be different than Microsoft. So yet another AI solution. How good is it?
Exactly. So what's cool about it is I can also live stream to Instagram. I can also post these images, and I can AI caption the images straight to Instagram and Facebook. I can use the AI assistant to, for example, tell me what I'm looking at and describe what I'm seeing. So reading a menu in German or reading a menu in Italian and translating that back to me in English. So we had just been chatting about how I didn't know that ChatGPT could read, and these glasses actually are analyzing the photos and able to tell me exactly what I'm seeing. So
when you're, excuse me, when you're looking at that menu, do you need to snap a picture for it to analyze the picture, or does it actually see what you're seeing in real time?
No, it takes a picture and then it gives me a description of the photo, or it tells me, it takes a picture of what the text is, and then it analyzes it, and then it reads it back to me. And then what's cool about it then, Dan, is that instead of just reading it back to me and then being sort of lost in the conversation, it ends up in the Meta View app as a stored photo with the text description of what was either translated or seen. So it's really like a superpower for you. And the glasses do a lot. I'm actually just really impressed with them and how lightweight they are and how approachable they are as a augmented reality device. And I would call them augmented reality, even though there's no projection, because these have spatial audio, they have augmented sound, there is an AI assistant, and it's the superpower. You are really giving yourself an augmentation of your ability to read a scene or to interact with the world around you.
Can it give you walking directions?
I haven't tried that yet, but it's not a bad idea. I don't know why not. I mean, I feel like if you put the map if you pull up maps in an app on your phone, there's no reason it wouldn't tell you where to go, because you're just using it almost in the same way as you would headphones or earbuds. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay, well, we promised our audience top 10 takeaways from All USA 2024. That was just last week, June 18th, 19th, 20th, 2024, Long Beach, as you mentioned. I could imagine that you brought your Ray-Ban Meta Skylers with you. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so my idea was to see if I could keep the cell phone in my pocket and just use the glasses. I didn't have an assistant videographer with me. I usually come with an assistant, and due to the location, I didn't have an assistant lined up. And so I just wanted to see if I could go as lightweight as possible on my content creation and see if going to the show with something like smart glasses that could record video and take pictures would really be like a way for me to publish content faster, kind of limit the length of the video that I was shooting, and then maybe make it smaller, more snackable content. And then I would also be able to understand a little bit more about the photography and the composition, because as you can imagine, the neck, the head, we can look quickly when we hear something, and we can be easily distracted. And so if you're recording and you're not a gimbal, I said in my article, humans make for bad steady cams. We just aren't good steady cams. And so I was really learning a lot about composition and thinking about end user while I was doing this. So but for me, I felt like I didn't come away with a dozen folders full of video content and hours of footage, but I also didn't come away with all that extra work. I kind of was able to just get a few really key points from the things that I saw. And for me, that it actually felt like very, very efficient. So I liked it. I thought it was a good addition to my tools, and I didn't really take my phone out all that much. I wasn't on camera as much, but I didn't take my phone out as much. So that was actually a big relief.
So for our audience of real estate photographers that do 3D, 360 photography, did you have any takeaways of how a photographer might use this in their everyday workflow?
That's a very good question. I think that a real estate photographer could probably, if they're working with a real estate photographer on their social media, I think that they could recommend that their clients get these, and that their clients are posting more frequently as they go to things like open houses, as they go to things like broker tours, and that as they are interacting with their community, and that if you are working like an agency like Hopscotch and you have access to their social media, then you would be able to kind of curate posts and help them with their social media. So many realtors complain about having like a pretty lame social media game. And I think that this puts them in influencer world and in an influencer position very quickly by using the smart glasses.
So the photographer is making a recommendation. The photographer as a thought leader is helping inspire their clients to be thought leaders. And hopefully that leads to more and bigger premium listings for the agent. Hopefully that then translates for more shoots for the photographer and maybe additional work, as in the case of Hopscotch Interactive, helping clients with a broad spectrum of media, including social media.
Well, I think so. And I think that real estate photographers, there's real estate photographers and then there's real estate photographers. They're people that are hired guns that go out and capture the media. They deliver to, larger organizations, and they are not necessarily as individual contributors, or they're working more as an individual contributor than they are as like an agency or as a partner to their clients. And I think that this is a way to deepen the relationship by making recommendations to your clients about how they can do more and not have to change their behavior. I think one of the things that many people have worried about when they've entered social media is also they're worried they don't look good on camera, and they might actually be awkward. And I think if you put them in the glasses, and you don't need to have overlay, you don't need to have virtual staging, you don't need to have augmented reality. I think just having the realtor's thoughts as you tour through a property and as you are thinking about a property, I feel like realtors can really blow up on their social media by using these, like I said, as an influencer tool.
Could a photographer do it as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why not. Like, if I'm
Yeah.
at a shoot and I have these glasses on and I want to do it behind the scenes, I literally just behind the scene, I take the shot. I'm not fumbling for my camera, and I have I think these are 3 megapixel, or maybe it's up to 12 megapixel images on the camera. And you can't control the focal length, but there's a lot of AI baked into this. And so the image quality is good. It's HDR, it looks really good. And so I don't think you would be wanting for more at this point. Like, it's not about creative control, it's about quick and meaningful in the moment.
Okay. Could you post to the We Get Around Network forum, perhaps a video, maybe one from your YouTube channel,
Yeah.
at Scotch Interactive, and maybe a photo or two to share with us on that?
Yeah, I would be happy to. And like I said, like, it's pretty early days, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Meta Ray-Ban or the Ray-Ban Metas, and specifically the Skylers, because they could be worn by women real estate agents more comfortably than maybe a broader Wayfarer, which is a wider frame. You can get them in different sizes, but I just think that this would so appeal to a tech forward realtor, and I think it would really set them apart.
Okay, before we move on from this topic, do they come in prescription lenses?
Yes. So exactly.
And do they come in clear lenses?
Yes.
I could get it totally clear, no prescription.
You could get it clear, no prescription, Dan. You can also get transitions. So you could have them be transition lenses. This is the Skyler. It's called Chalky Gray, and then with like a cinnamon pink tinted lens. But that's like what it comes with. They've just announced, I think they had a black, and then now they have a blue and a brown in this particular collection. And then in the Wayfarers, they think they have a blue, like a sky blue color, really beautiful colors. And other YouTubers have said that the thing they wish they didn't have was transitions, because in the car, you know, maybe they're not used to them, or they want to vlog indoors and then they're wearing glasses that are too dark. Yeah. And I have to say, I'm very happy with these.
Did anyone at Awe notice that you were wearing these awesome glasses?
Yes, they did. In fact, one of my friends, Dave, had Wayfarers on. And so I took a picture of Dave with these, and he took a picture of me with his. And so we have, you know, 2 photos taken at the same time from people wearing the glasses. So
which kind
definitely
of
felt like an early adopter, but, you know, I feel like, again, you don't change your behavior very much. They're very approachable. They're very affordable. They are a great way to step up how people are already using things like social media and Facebook. And from a storytelling perspective, I think they have a lot going for them. The only thing that would perhaps not be so great, and it would be a disappointment to people, is that you're not currently allowed to develop third-party apps for the headset or for the device. So as far as smart glasses go, it's going to still be pretty limited to, you know, what you have access to on your phone, and like Spotify and, you know, some of the other apps are really working perfectly with it, like Instagram, Facebook, and Spotify. I think there's one other I can't remember right now, but you know, that my podcast worked just fine. And again, I'm pairing this with the iPhone. It's the iPhone 15 Pro Max, so it's a good phone, but you know, you compare them with, I think, you know, any iPhone.
Okay, which 2 geeky people looking at each other through these glasses. I think that's a natural segue to AWE. Actually, for someone who's it's never heard of AWE, tell us about the Augmented World Expo.
Okay, Dan.
What is this event, even before you tell us the highlights of the event?
Yeah, well, thank you for the segue. Augmented World Expo is a place for industry professionals in virtual, augmented, extended reality to meet and to learn. And the event has been going on since this is the 15th year. So it's been going on since, gosh, long before I started attending. But this was my 9th AWE in the US, and actually my 12th AWE overall, because I have also attended the event. It is an international event, and they have Augmented World Expo Asia. They also have Augmented World Expo Europe, AWE Europe.
So AWE Asia 2024 is August 27th to the 28th in Singapore. AWE Europe 2024, October 29 through the 30th, 2024 in Vienna. Draws, how many super geeky people come out to see the latest AR, VR, XR, MR, metaverse, spatial data?
Yeah, so there were several thousand people at the show, and so I'm not sure of the total attendees. I would probably put it at around 6,000 to 7,000. It's over 3 days. So it was 3 days, which this year we also had something very special that I'll talk about in a second, which is we had the Apple Vision Pro Vision Workshop, which was on, I would call it day 0 because it was the day prior to the opening of the conference. And that was a pretty special event. And so that was an all-day event dedicated just to sharing with the community about Apple Vision Pro and what developers are doing on it.
Let's start there. Let's actually start with day 0, Apple Vision Pro, which is actually kind of interesting to have you talk about it, because literally today is Wednesday, June 26, 2024. On June 26, 2023, you and Paolo Tassolini were on WGAN-TV talking about the potential for the Apple Vision Pro meets real estate photographers. So we're now fast forward a year. Any takeaways from that workshop, the Apple Vision Pro workshop, specifically as it relates to real estate photographers?
It doesn't really real estate photography didn't come up at all. I just want to also say just quickly a couple of things about AWE before we jump into this. So AWE also has a very big event called the Augies. So it also there are also awards for everything from content creation to best enterprise solution. And so they gave 20 awards this year, plus they inducted, like, I want to say 100 people into the XR Hall of Fame. So it was like everybody in this industry, including people like Tom Furness, who was one of the first augmented reality researchers that was putting augmented reality in airplanes for the US Air Force back in the 70s. So really legends in our field, and we really stand on the shoulders of giants when we are there, and it's an amazing community. So Apple Vision Pro, of course, was absent at the show last year because they had not yet announced the Vision Pro. That came, I believe, on June 5th it was announced, and then we were able to chat about it pretty quickly after that, you, me, and Paolo, talking about what we thought Apple Vision Pro might mean for our industry. Now, the Vision Workshop was run, well, it was sort of I would say like a condensed version of a 3-day hackathon / workshop that is run professionally by my friends Dom and Raven. And they ran the very first iPhone developer workshop back in the day. I want to say this was like, was it 2014? I don't remember the date. It was way before that. It was like Emily, so long ago.
Let me bring you back. All our audience cares about is, how is this going to affect me doing real estate photography or shooting Matterport and spatial data, or, you know, can I use my Apple Vision Pro related to content that I create with Matterport? Can it be viewable in Apple Vision Pro? All those kinds of things. Let's try and stay focused on use cases for real estate photographers in general, 3D 360 content creators in particular. Was there anything at the Apple Vision Pro workshop that kind of stuck out, went, oh yeah, I see how that's going to affect our space?
So I would say that I did not see anything that I think was very specific to real estate photography. There, of course, can be indie developers that are developing for Apple Vision Pro, but as you know, Dan, the initial sort of push into the Apple Vision Pro, there are about 2,000 apps that are available on it, but Apple is not, this is one of the big issues, is that Apple has this operating system called the Vision OS, right? That's what they launched for development for the Apple Vision Pro. Now, they announced Vision OS 2, the second version of this software, which was introduced and is really focused towards the enterprise. And that happened about a week before the show. And what we learned was that only for enterprise developers within their organization, meaning not just out in the world like cameras like this, would anyone be able to develop an app yet that uses the cameras, the external facing cameras? So as Paolo and I had sort of surmised what it could look like a year ago, we were thinking, do you turn your head and use it as a scanning device? Would you be able to use it to, you know, in any kind of reality capture sense? And I would say that right now the answer is no, because unless you are at a large corporation that has a big enough dev team and that they are accepted into the enterprise development you know program with Apple, you're not going to be seeing those kinds of utilitarian apps coming out of the Vision Pro for us anytime soon.
Now you bought one of
can
these.
take video and you can take spatial video and photos and you can make your own content. But again, as I explained before, for real estate photography, you know, this is, your body is not a great steady cam. And so that content is questionable as to whether or not it really is going to be something useful as a tour. I have heard of some companies experimenting with it. I've seen some footage and I have not been impressed because they have not solved for the awkwardness of somebody walking around wearing a Vision Pro capturing video. And that's really, that's it. The one thing I do think, Dan, and maybe this is interesting for people down the road, is that the Vision OS 2 software does enable the scanning of QR codes, and spatial QR codes, meaning it understands the location of objects and of where things are, and then it can track those objects. But again, I think we're getting into something that is sort of beyond the scope of most real estate photography and gets into more, you know, manufacturing and other use cases.
Okay, so let me ask one question, one observation, then we'll move forward for day one of AWE. In Apple Vision, you bought one, Paolo bought one. Can you look at a Matterport tour within a Apple Vision Pro?
Yes, yes, you can, but it's a web experience. So so I went into, so my website, for example, anybody who is a Matterport photographer should know that through what we call WebXR. So remember, there are apps and then there's WebXR, which is us being able to reach or to be able to view and manipulate and have 3D objects accessible to us on the web. For many years, for a few years now, Matterport spaces have been spatial, you know, spatial, it's like spatial XR enabled through the embed code, right? So if you look at those embed codes, you'll see it's enabled for spatial viewing. Now, what's cool about that is if you use the most recent code and you put that on any website, that if someone is viewing that space on a Quest, right? Like on a Meta Quest 2 or a Meta Quest device, then it will recognize it and you will be able to load the experience. Right now on the Vision Pro, you cannot load that experience with Matterport other than in a web browser. Now, it's cool because you're still viewing it immersed and you can dial out reality, but it's not a better experience in the Vision Pro as opposed to a more immersive experience like being in a Meta Quest at this time. Matterport may in the future do that, or CoStar owner, future owner of Matterport may put resources behind it, but I don't know yet, Dan.
Okay, so it's an immersive experience, but it's not the promise of a spatial data 3D model that feels like you're walking through the space.
No, it's you can have that experience very easily on a Meta Quest, but right now it does not
Apple
function.
Vision Pro.
Does not function on the Vision Pro.
Okay.
Matterport does not have an app on the Vision Pro, and their spatial tracking does not launch the models on a Vision Pro. The exception to that is if you take there's always an exception. If you take your 3D model, or if you take, for example, a drone map, say you have a drone map that you have converted into one of the standard file formats like USDZ or GLTF, then those files easily through Sketchfab or through even Keynote on the Vision Pro can be viewed in 3D. And it's very, very cool. And then you are seeing and playing with that Matterport model in 3D right in front of you, but it's the 3D model, it's not the tour. So I just want to be very clear about what you're able to experience. And again, the hackers like Paolo, you know, and his team, I'm sure are coming up with very cool experiences. And it is
let me
possible
do
to
this.
develop, but it's not like, it's not an app.
Let me make one observation, get your reaction, then we'll move on to day one. So at the moment, Apple Vision Pro, let's see, there's photos, video, aerial, drone, floor plans, virtual staging. Apple Vision Pro is its own medium into itself, and it just may be another tool or how video gets recorded, let's say on an iPhone 15 Pro Max, that is a immersive experience within Apple Vision Pro, totally separate from Matterport or 3D or 360. It may be just another way for a high-end property to enable people to experience a space that either doesn't exist yet or exists, but you can't go see it right now because the model is built out, but it's still a construction site and you can't walk on site. Fair enough to say today, for a real estate photographer trying to understand the impact, Apple Vision Pro is a standalone medium of itself.
Yeah, it's a touch point. I don't want to say that it's a medium. I think it's no different than in the way that the internet you can connect to your internet through your phone, through your watch, through your computer, through many different devices. They have different features, and I think that the Apple Vision Pro as a touch point to digital media enables you to see content in the highest fidelity right now, because it's like having an IMAX on your face. It's like you can see high fidelity content and you're able to, you know, use your hands and gestures and use it with gaze tracking. It's a different interface.
Yeah,
It's
Emily,
a different touch point,
yeah,
but I wouldn't say that it is for our content. It will enable very cool things in the future, but we haven't seen those come to market yet.
Emily,
and also,
excuse me, at the very beginning of the show, you talked about Hopscotch Interactive doing high-end luxury commercial real estate. Do you see Apple Vision Pro being a high-end solution for any of Hopscotch Interactive projects?
yeah, I think that we're working on that. I think, Dan, my team is reviewing ways to develop on Apple Vision Pro. And I think that, you know, you have to sort of look at the different paths for development, whether you do something on the web, whether you build an app for iOS or Vision OS and the Apple ecosystem, or if you build something maybe in Unity that can be used for both, right? So I think we are evaluating what the most interesting use cases are for us. I'll give you an example of where I think it has gone wrong so far, and then maybe you can give me your thoughts on that. But Zillow made a lot of headlines when it was announced that they had an app on the Apple Vision Pro. And so being an Apple Vision Pro owner, I got one at launch. I pre-ordered and I got one at launch. I wanted to try the Zillow app. I was very excited to try the Zillow app. And the Zillow app has a very interesting design, because it's basically, it's not very curated. I got pretty motion sick in the app almost right away because there's inconsistency in the way that people use Zillow. 360 photography, some
Emily,
people are
excuse
doing
me,
it with their
Emily,
phones, some people
were
are
you talking about Zillow 3D Home?
Zillow 3D home tours, yeah. And so through Showing Time, for example, which is their platform for trying to expand the use of the Zillow 3D home tours and do higher end media. Right now, I believe a few homes that are on the Showing Time Plus platform have been selected to be put into the Zillow Vision Pro app. Now, those are it's unclear how they were selected and chosen. I don't think that they were quality checked in the headset when they were chosen, because the image quality, what you can tell right away is that in the Vision Pro.
Emily, let's do this, because it's not something that's going to help a real estate photographer today. Let's move into AWE day 1, day 2, day 3.
Sure.
Tell us about like what was like just awesome.
Well, what to me was awesome was it was awesome to me. And again, this is not necessarily just for real estate photographers, but for day 1, my job on day 1, day 0 was Apple Vision Workshop. And that was very, very exciting to hear great case studies. That will all be recorded. Everybody should check out AWE XR on YouTube so that they can see all of the recordings, and they can watch any of those sessions.
AWEXR.com is the
AWEXR on YouTube, and I think it's AWEXR.com on the website as well. Okay. We can check it, but all the sessions are recorded, and actually it goes back several years, but all the sessions are recorded, so you can actually watch these different sessions yourselves. But on day 1, my job was to lead a focus group on for real estate and AEC. And so I was walking around the show floor, and I had selected about 5 or 6 companies that I wanted to go see and to show to the group that had joined me on that tour. So that was really exciting, because I was with a few different people. Somebody who works in commercial real estate branding, somebody who runs like 40 properties in the Los Angeles area, big multifamily developer. And we were looking at all the different technologies and how they could be used. And so one of the first places that I wanted to take them was to the Treatise team to show them that, for example, some of the features at some of the features that were being shown at AWE might not be the ones that like your audience at the We Get Around Network has tried yet, but every single Matterport scan could be used on the Treatise platform to create, for example, like a virtual or wayfinding, pathfinding, augmentations, augmented reality on mobile AR, so on your phone, and using the Treatise platform. But I do believe you have to have a business plan or higher. And so it's a little bit more expensive and a bigger investment, but you can do really cool things already with Matterport. And Matterport was there, but I didn't see anyone from Matterport when I was actually at the booth. But a couple of the guys from Treatise were there, showing how they had scanned the show floor with their phones. And I believe they scanned it with their phones, not the Pro 3, but they had already augmented and added augmentations and wayfinding so that you could find your way to other booths on the show floor. So they were showing how practical it was.
Cool. TREEDIS.com, Treatise. What else did you see?
So I felt like, again, for me, the storytelling was very important. So I love wayfinding. I love augmentations in spaces. And so I also took them to a company called Zaubar, Zaubar. They're a German company. And I can send you a link, Dan, of the little tour book that I put together for people.
Awesome. Yeah. put that in the We Get Around Network forum. That would be
Yeah,
awesome.
I'll put the link in there for you so you can share it with everybody so they can see the companies that I highlighted on my tour. And Salbar was one of them. And the reason I wanted to bring them to Salbar was Salbar means magic in German, right? Salbar, or to sort of, I guess, to create a feeling of magic for people. And they are doing, using location-based augmented reality and putting different points of interest and augmentations along an outdoor gallery or in a museum. They are able to add storytelling elements and virtual reality and augmented reality in a very lightweight and easy to access way for anybody who has a space that they want to tell a story about. So they use it in museums, they use it in outdoor galleries, they use it in parks, they use it in also even in manufacturing facilities. So Salvar is one where, you know, they'd like to come to the US, they'd like to have more opportunities here in the US. And so I think that you'll be seeing more use cases for that in the future.
Okay. Website about.zaubar.com, about.zabar.com.
Yes,
Sure, it's not a delicatessen in New York City, Zabar's?
No, the Zabars, that's yeah, no, it's not a place to get chocolate babka. It's a place to get cyberpunk or let's see, generative AI pictures of yourself and to place them into the real world as an augmentation.
Awesome. What else did you see on your curated tour for in the real estate space?
So I checked in with my friends at GeoPogo, and GeoPogo, do you know the GeoPogo guys, Dan?
No.
So GeoPogo is really interesting. They were founded by an architect. They're local. We actually did, when I had another company, we did an accelerator together. And GeoPogo started as what was basically a visualization platform for you to be able to create and build and easily visualize things like adding an ADU to your backyard by using their web-based tools. And now they have really evolved into, they still have the platform, but they also have GeoPogo cities. So for example, if you as a real estate media specialist are working with developers and the unbuilt environment, then they've mapped, I think, 26 cities, and they have made it so that you can bring in your building. You can do directional lighting, time of day, shadows, rotation, highly detailed visualization and sort of decision-making software for developers, and also presentation software. So that is very cool.
ADU, accessory dwelling unit. So if you live in Manhattan and you're wondering what that is, if you wanted to put a little mother-in-law house on your existing property, that would be called an ADU.
That's right. And in California now, and I believe in some other states, they've really lifted the restrictions on being able to build or add an ADU up to 1,000 square feet. In California, you can build one up to 1,000 square feet on your property because we have such a housing shortage and a housing crisis. So it's very advantageous for people to be able to understand, can I fit this on my property?
And that's where GeoPogo comes in, GeoPogo.com. Another site or two that you saw at AWE that you were excited about?
Well, I think that I am pretty excited about. So I have this is the Apple Vision Pro, and I'll just pull this out for you guys, and I'll illustrate a couple of the things that are interesting to me about it. So obviously, I have I'm actually like these. I don't know if you know the story, Dan, but I had black eyes when I first got the Vision Pro from its weight. And so the guys at AnaPro, which they made this head strap, this is something that I have been now telling everyone to get because it has really saved the pressure on my face. And I love the Vision Pro. It's an amazing device, but there is another device that is coming out. It is an addition to a wearable, glasses, so something in between these two devices, right? It's by a company called X-Reel, and the X-Reel takes almost, you know, this same amount of, like, well, I wouldn't say the same, but it is sort of like a lighter weight version of the Apple Vision Pro, and they have a new device that is connected. It's tethered like this. This is tethered to the battery. It's also tethered to, and so the X-Reel plus the Beam Pro, and the Beam Pro comes out next month. And I got to get hands-on with the Beam Pro. And I haven't done my article on it yet. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I haven't done my article on it yet, Dan, but for the price, the ability to have a very close to the Apple Vision Pro experience, with a spatial video, and it has, this is not it, this is the Vision Pro battery, but we can probably share a link to it. But
I'm
the Beam
Googling
Pro,
feverishly here, so I'm not hearing the correct name of it because I ended up on the wrong website. Is it BEAM?
yeah, the company is X-Reel, X-R-E-A-L.
Okay, and that's their product. Okay, so the letter XREAL.com, and so we should look on that website for the Beam Pro.
Yeah, look at the Beam Pro. So the Beam Pro, it does, you know, it's a little bit of a tongue twister, but that device is basically like your iPhone or your phone. And it does have two cameras, two lenses, so you can take spatial video with it. You can wear the mixed reality glasses. You can dim, so you have dimming, you have a spatial menu like you have on the Vision Pro. You can watch video content, you can shoot video content, and I thought it was very easy to use, and the price point is significantly lower. I don't know what the exact sale price is going to be. I know that they are not shipping yet, but they will be shipping soon. But it should be many order of magnitude less expensive than the Vision Pro. And keep in mind that X-Reel has already sold 400,000 of the X-Reel glasses to gamers, and mostly gamers and other like early adopters. So there's already a built-in market for that at a really lower price point with some pretty exciting hardware. And so I think that's another device that people should definitely check out.
Cool. Anything else you were before we say bye, anything else that you were particularly excited about?
I would say that, let's see, anything else? You know, I didn't see a lot of reality capture there, and I wish that I had seen a little bit more on the reality capture side of things. The things that I was mostly looking for, though, I would say, were maybe things that, you know, for your regular real estate photographer, might not be necessarily so exciting, but for me, they're very exciting. And the things that I'm excited about, for example, are more like, I'm excited about Microsoft Mesh, in fact. So I don't know if you know what Microsoft Mesh is, but Microsoft, of course, is the largest provider of, you know, corporate software in America. And so they are basically integrating a virtual, like virtual Zoom, if you will, much like Meta, let's see, Meta Horizons, I think it's workrooms or workspaces. And so it's called Microsoft Mesh. And they're just going to continue to be rolling out and improving that product, which means that the more that people in the workforce are getting used to going into spaces as an avatar, if it's web-based or if it's in headset, I do think that this is going to become sort of like the standard way to go immersive with somebody and to be immersive with somebody. And once it's integrated into things like Teams, where you just press, let's go into VR and let's meet in VR. I think that that is where you're going to really see the tipping point for people. And again, that's like with this, I'm connected to live streaming on Instagram, and I hit connect with the glasses, and suddenly I'm live streaming with the glasses. I'm having an augmented experience. And I think that it just becomes part of your everyday work. I think the more that we try to make it like, like something that you think is just exciting because it's new tech, I think that that doesn't excite me as much as when I see that people are able to use these tools to have superpowers in their everyday work.
Emily, thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks, Dan. It was great. Thanks for listening to everybody. And please reach out if you have questions. I would be so happy to chat with you.
You can reach Emily at hopscotchinteractive.com, in the We Get Around Network forum at Hopscotch. You do have an awesome YouTube channel at Hopscotch Interactive. For Emily in the greater San Francisco Bay Area, I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network forum, and you've been watching WGAN-TV.